Vikes Bites.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. It is time for Vikes Bites. And it's always brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef, a Clearwater, Minnesota company. Delicious.
Beef.
Hell yeah, delicious product. You can shop online, ThousandHillsLifetimeGrazed.com. You can go to a local co-op. You can go to a Coburn's locations. They're proud sponsors of Gopher Athletics as well. Before we get to our first bite, which is a cool one, a player was awarded something this week, rewarded for his efforts on Sunday against the Texans. 11 a.m. hour, we're going to be doing some pressure points, PA. And I am asking those that love and listen to 9 to noon and have their favorite football team on their mind with the border battle ahead. Who's your MVP through 3? So 11 o'clock, I'm going to play some talkbacks, look through some texts. 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line, or the free iHeartRadio app. Hit that talkback function. Give us up to your best 30 seconds. Through 3, who's your Vikings MVP? That's the question at hand. So get that in your head and let it noodle around a bit. But NFC Defensive Player of the Week, huh?
Diggs, wide left, playing in his first game at U.S. Bank Stadium since December of 2019. C.J. Stroud, second is short, play action from under center. Oh, he's hit, and he's sacked! C.J. Stroud sacked by the former Texan, Jonathan Grenard.
And another.
Here comes C.J. Stroud. And there goes C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud down to the turf. Sacked again by his former teammate, Jonathan Grenard.
1, 2, 3 sacks on the day for Jonathan Grenard. He is your NFC Defensive Player of the Week, PA, for week 3. And when they release this information, the Vikings, their PR staff, they're so good, but they send out those releases, and here's going back in time, other defensive players or offense, special teams, etc., players of the week. And I'm just thinking, I look at last year, like Ivan Pace, great game against the Raiders last year. The game itself was putrid, but great game by the rookie. Josh Dobbs, Offensive Player of the Week for the Atlanta Magic. Cam Bynum.
Josh who?
Josh Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Ba-da-da-da-da. Dobbs. They were doing that at Target Field last night, trying to get their baseball team to win.
Old people just got a pain underneath left ribs.
But what Jonathan Grenard did on Sunday, and it just hits a little bit different as I'm looking at last year, the trials and tribulations leading to a 7-win season, and what we've seen through 3. Everybody's loving it. Congrats on the Defensive Player of the Week nod to Jonathan Grenard, and here's what the head coach had to say.
I want to highlight Jonathan Grenard, NFC Player of the Week defensively, first of his career. Really cool to see him making such an impact here early on.
Yeah, that was the key, right? Is the idea that, okay, so fresh faces in the building. It's going to work with Flores' defense. Feels like in some ways the coordinator had the ability to say, I like this guy in my scheme. I like that guy in my scheme. I like this other guy in my scheme. And right now, all the guys are kicking butt. Mm-hmm. But you get the early sack, and it's like, okay, is Jonathan Grenard, is he using his speed and he's just coming up short? Like, when are we going to see some impact from Grenard? And we had that blow-up game on Sunday. It was a beautiful thing. Looking forward to pressure points later on where our D-line will be a conversation of note again. But congrats to Jonathan Grenard on the NFC Defensive Player of the Week nod.
As we mentioned Tuesday with TCO Tuesday and Kevin O'Connell, Kevin went out of his way a couple of Tuesdays ago to point out, Jonathan Grenard just has 1 sack. It's kind of tough to figure out what that sack was, too. I mean, it's not like this dominating, rolled in off the edge, caught somebody, bam, down goes whomever. Kevin pointed out the good things Grenard was doing despite the statistical wherewithal not being prevalent. And then the next week, which was last week, he had 3 sacks, and we all could figure that out easily.
Yeah.
So this is all, just remember last year, okay? Back to last year through 3. And Jordan Hicks and Harrison Smith and maybe, some others in lesser fashion, they picked up on Flores' defense, but the tricks of it relatively quickly. But that's only like 2.5, 3 players. Then weeks 4 on, it just seemed to roll. Well, it's rolling now. like, Grenard and all the players who are new to it, I'm sure that there are mistakes being made that we don't see that are not made twice. And I'm not saying Grenard is mistake laden, but I'm just saying what we saw from him this weekend, everybody can figure out was incredibly good.
Yeah.
Now, so he has 4 sacks along with Patrick Jones. Grenard had 12.5 sacks last year, but his first 3 years, he had 10.5 sacks in all 3 years. Last year was a get paid year, and he had 12.5. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case this year, where he got paid, and now he already has 4. So he's a valued addition to the Covenant.
You mentioned mistakes being made. I would love to sneak into a film session with Flores.
Oh, that'd be,
like even like the Grugier Hill pick, and just hear the coordinator say, well, hey, Metellus, you were 3 feet here and you needed to be there.
Yeah.
And like even in plays that work because of the chaotic nature of the defense.
Yeah.
Where I'm still spending time trying to figure out when guys are in the right place.
No, it's unbelievable.
Where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear him break down like, man, you were leaning on your right foot in this spot, and if this would have happened, we would have gotten gashed. So we're lucky, that sort of thing. I'd love to hear that discourse.
I caught a social media clip a couple of days ago, and I'm sure others saw it because it was quite popular. It was Emmanuel Acho and former Packers receiver James Jones.
Oh, yeah.
And they were looking at Flores' defense, and Acho did it beautifully because he knew the answer. He's hosting. And he put Jones and another in a position to say, okay, what do you see? And then they paused, and they're like, cover 2? And then one is, this is absolutely cover 3. It'll go into man. All right, so Acho hit play. The safeties, Bynum and Smith, were 18 yards from the line of scrimmage. Snap of the ball. Bynum and Smith traded with Gilmore and Murphy.
Oh, come on.
Or 2 corners. Gilmore for sure. Where the corners ran back and played safety. And the safeties ran up and played corner. And the cool thing there is, after all week of these guys watching film and seeing numbers with red jerseys in practice.
Yeah.
So, like, who gets red jerseys for the Vikings, say, against Green Bay? You'll have 51. There will be a red jersey, 51. Scout team guy will wear that. Why? Because he calls the defense. Maybe 58 might be a red jersey. 2, Gilmore, will be a red jersey. And then either 24, 44, or 22. So those are the red jersey. They see those numbers all week, and then they go to look for corners. Like, okay, well, cool. Wow. What? 22's what?
Huh?
Sack! Because just that second and a half to be like, why are the safeties there? And then when I took before the snap, they were there. Now they're there. Why? I like how you led into that, because it would take a long time. I mean, just the beginning of the week. All right. So Mondays, they break things down. They meet with Flores meets with the defense. O'Connell and the group meet with the offense. Then they all meet as a team. They put it to bed. The players go chill. And then the coaches get to work. Well, see, that's where I'd like to be in the office when Flores closes his door middle of a Monday. And it's dark. And there's a lava lamp. And he's diabolically mixing potions while watching perceived L's for an offense. Just finding ways to expose, like say it's the right guard for the Packers. I mean, just
sure.
Use that as an example. Let's say it's the center, because Bill Michaels, the radio guy from Wisconsin, said the left tackle's having a bunch of troubles, and so is the center. Well, I mean, he just must go back and forth with that mouse over and over and over and over to find everything that goes into a capital L. And then he has somebody from operations print a picture of it and make it a poster. And then there it is in the defensive line room. And they walk in and they're like, what's this? It's the mark. No, it's not. It's Josh Myers. It's the mark. And here's how we're going to take advantage of it. And then he presents them with 16 things that are infallible. and then 16 that play off of it in case there's fallibility. I just to go through the process of what it takes to be diabolical in a non-crime related or harmful way, at least in the big picture. That would be fascinating. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I picture him like he walks the hallways. He's got like a lab coat and safety goggles on. Yeah. And then in his office, there's a periodic table of elements, but it's his defense.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable. And in the end, all of this leads to PA.
Yeah.
Packers don't want that smoke.
Wow. I stole Horatio Cain's bit. You stole both of our bits, and it was fantastic. Well, as Flores goes, just remember this is who he is. End of the Niners game, he just stood there, waiting for Brock Purdy to get done with the prayer circle, to hug Darnold, to fist bump somebody else. He just stood there. And Purdy comes up to him thinking, hey, B-Flow wants to talk to me. And then Purdy says, cool scheme. And then Flores said nothing. He just wanted him to see his face. Because I want you to remember this face. The face that put so much anguish and pain in your football-loving heart the last 3 hours. Don't ever forget this face. Because if you see it again, it'll be worse. And Brock was like, yeah, but hey, B-Flow. And Brian just walked away.
Vikes Bites!
That's our coordinator.
Ooh! Vikes Bites presented by Thousand Hills. The first injury report came out yesterday, PA. Here's Kevin O'Connell on that regarding Ivan Pace, Mr. Turner, and Mr. Addison.
Each one of those guys will kind of be on their own kind of plan of attack to see where they are throughout the week, and we'll keep everybody posted on that injury report.
Okay, well, not a lot of clarity figured out in that clip, no doubt about it. But Jordan Addison,
no practice yesterday either. It was a walkthrough. That's a change relatively early in the season. Generally, Wednesdays have a little practice to them, but yesterday was just kind of a walkthrough.
Well, when you're 3-0, I guess maybe you get treats, right? You get treats, and instead of orange slices and freezies, they get a walkthrough instead of a physical practice. And I'm all good with that. Darnold on his knee. I have some audio from him momentarily. But welcome back to practice, even if it is walkthrough, even if it is designated as limited fashion. Jordan Addison in the mix. In the injury report as well, though, they listed Garrett Bradbury with an ankle knock. He would be a DNP in that category. So something to watch as we go further on into the week.
I'm waiting for somebody with the coaching staff or Vikings media relations to get to Dallas Turner and just... Hey, Dallas, I mean, you don't have to, share every single thing that's happening in your life.
Well, no, I'm happy to share.
Well, right. Well, last week, he told somebody, on Thursday or Friday, no, I'm out. Injury report hadn't come, I ain't playing.
Yeah, I'm out,
okay.
But I'll be back next week.
Right. And then this week, he said, no, I'll play next game. The constipated, overly, at times, analytical and or obsessed, the overly insecure is too strong, but the overly secretive NFL hates players like that. Man, it's like, oh no, I'm good. Oh wow, really? It's questionable. No, I'll play Sunday.
Yeah,
I'll cool.
Be there. Well, it goes back to Jordan Mason, right? I knew on Friday I was going to play.
How about that?
No big deal.
Right. Yeah. How about that? I mean, you talk about something that just, big deal. It has come and gone.
Yes.
But Kyle Shanahan had to tell 9 different kind of lies to keep the Jets off balance into a Monday night football game, thinking McCaffrey might play. Mason's like, no, the game's on Monday. Yeah, I knew Friday night that I was going to start. And Shanahan probably knew at that time Christian McCaffrey would end up with some aggressive, otherworldly doctor in Munich, Germany, dealing with his tendonitis. Mason probably knew too, but next level was playing the game. Jordan Mason and Dallas Turner, they're the types that ruin games.
Yeah.
They're the types that hide the $500 bills under the board in Monopoly. And just when you think you have them stuck, they pull out 2 dimes and you're dead.
Vikes Bites! Thank you, Thousand Hills. Sam Darnold, he was talking to the media yesterday, said his knee's good. And very much, some of this is programming. You mentioned, just working with the media in the vein of not saying too much. a lot of these guys, they are cliche-laden commentary, right? I mean, it's take it one day at a time, just doing what I need to do, listening to the coaches, etc. So that's where he's at on his knees, and he's going to be fine. He was a full participant in practice, and we're all happy about it. But he mentioned this. It's his first trip to Lambeau.
I am excited. I'm excited to, feel the atmosphere. Just that stadium. I mean, there's so many different memories and so much football history packed into that stadium, and I'm really excited just to be able to go there and feel that environment.
So we talk about this once in a while, so I'm not asking, this isn't the first time you'll ever comment on it, but I've been to Lambeau multiple times. You've been there a ton of times. You've viewed a ton of games there. And I look at it as football Americana, and that's kind of how we've framed it up, I think, on this show multiple times. All these split-level Rambler-style homes, and then just erected from nowhere is this beautiful historic stadium. But what's it like as a Vikings team in that building? Because I've been there at times. It's not necessarily as loud as I would have imagined it.
Right.
I think the fans are certainly super passionate and all of that. And it's definitely, you're in green and gold territory. There's no doubt about it. But what is Sam Darnold? What does he have ahead of him on Sunday at Lambeau?
Well, I don't know how many rows there are. So let's say like the first 10 to 15 rows are very close to the sidelines.
Yeah.
But this is not like U.S. Bank Stadium because of the footprint on which it was built. It's not as large as this spot in the land of milk and honey. So the seats at U.S. Bank Stadium and wherever the Super Chickens play these days, whatever they call it.
Is it Lumen Field now,
Lumen,
maybe?
thank you. Yeah, and some others, well, they go back, but then they start to go up, kind of overhanging the field.
Yep.
Lambeau's not like that. Football Americana goes back into a big bowl. And with the remodel that they started in 2003, and then there was another remodel where in the end zone, which would be to the left of the Vikings bench side of it as they look at the field. I mean, they got, the Bob Uecker seats up there are way far from the field. But they fill all of them. So they sell out every single game. And the point being here is that it's in that bowl-like feel. There's more of a than a You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It's more of a din than like you just can't hear yourself think. Now, we've talked about this a little bit just in passing, but I mean, winning on the road and outdoors is for an indoor team is tougher than I think people are giving thought to right now. Because in that Vikings-Giants game, I'll just say it for a third time, the Vikings were never losing the game, but there were 6, 7, or 8 moments during the course of that game where chains move if Daniel Jones could find accuracy. He wasn't pressured. And he just was bad. Daniel Bellinger dropped 2 middle of the field. Darius Slayton dropped 2, 1 middle of the field, 1 on the sideline in front of the Giants bench. That would have amassed first downs. So that would have changed the time of possession, given them a little confidence. They weren't winning the game, but it could have been a little different. Now, Green Bay at Brazil and then Green Bay at Tennessee. I was anything but impressed with Green Bay in that Nashville win, and I've watched the whole game. It's what I said with Bill Michaels. This penalty situation for them is a problem. The left tackle, and now you got Flores on the horizon. Okay, so Laramie Tunsil is oft penalized, but the aberration that transpired Sunday is exactly that. It's abnormal. And it has to do with crowd noise and Tunsil not being sure what's coming at him and wanting to get the jump. Well, Rasheed Walker's the same way. He jumps early. He leads the NFL in holds because he gets beat. And he gets beat one-on-one. And they have 26 penalties. But at home, Josh Jacobs went for $1 million. They played much more confidently in that game against Indianapolis than maybe some moments in the Titans game. But when you watch back all of Green Bay's work inside the 20, now 2 of it's with Malik Willis. So that's FEMA, Fairness and Malik Willis Act. You have a 21-yard field goal. You got one from 23. You got a couple from 26. Which means we're kicking from the 16, or we're kicking from like the 20, or we're kicking from like the 12.
Yeah.
So they're getting close, and they're having it fourth and relatively short, and not going for it. Maybe that plays into the quarterback. They're 3 of 10 on touchdowns inside the 20. Love was not dynamite inside the 20 against Philly before he got hurt. O'Connell and Flores have been high level, upper deck, upper shelf in the red zone. Specifically Darnold, 14 completions, number 1 in the NFL, and he has the most red zone touchdowns passing in the NFL too.
I think we're 7-10 overall as a team. I mean, 70% clips. We're going to win a lot of games with that kind of, and the run game plays into that, and just being more efficient and all of that. Yeah, 7-10 is good.
Now the officiating crew calls about 11.5 a game on average, and penalties are way up this year. But unlike last week, Hocules' crew skewed the way of offensive infractions, and it went to bearing its fruit.
Yeah.
This crew this week skews the way of defensive pass interference and defensive holding and things like that. Now, Green Bay has 3 defensive holds this year, which is second most in the end. They're committing a lot of penalties. And LaFleur knows it's a problem. O'Connell knows it's a problem. Flores knows it's a problem, and they're going to try to put them in positions to make mistakes. LaFleur is going to try to coach up his guys all week to not make mistakes, not be so handsy. Stokes and Jair Alexander, they're 2 of the handsiest corners that I can remember in the last 5 or 10 years. With this crew coming up, I don't think they'll get away with it.
Final Vike Bite for you quickly, and then we'll pause. A 6-pack of picks begins around the corner. Kevin O'Connell talking about TJ Hawkinson and the fact that he's nearing health and nearing a return.
He's been totally present, almost to the point where sometimes other than not having a really great player on Sundays, he's so involved, in the meeting room with his teammates and with our football team that you forget sometimes that he's not out there until you kick the ball off and you think about what it's going to be like when we get him back there.
So his first game he's going to be eligible, we know, is next week at London, and I don't know if because it's in London that would change his availability or their interest in having him back on the field. My whole thing with this PA, I don't know what this is. I don't know what it's going to look like. It's so weird to be as excited as we are. Jalen Naylor's getting a touchdown every game. We're seeing some explosion in the rush attack, but we still have the team's second best wide receiver on the mend, and we still have the preferred tight end just chomping at the bit, as you heard from the head coach. He's almost a human clipping pedal. You heard the coach. He's like, sometimes it's like he's almost too involved. Like he's just all over the place. He wants to get back. I can't hold him back. To have Addison nearing return and Hawkinson on the mend and right around the corner, it just pumps me up post-bye, hosting the Kitties, knowing that we could be potentially a fully healthy, fully functional team,
right?
With what we've already seen already. Right,
and then blending it in and having it work as well as it has worked through 3, but specifically 2 of the last 3. If I don't have this in front of me right now, I don't feel like digging in my bag. But if Jefferson and Naylor, if they each score this week, they become the first duo in the history of the NFL to score touchdowns in 4 consecutive games.
For real? Wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking Moss Carter, Bruce Holt, and so on and so on. Maybe it might be the first 4 weeks of a season, but nevertheless, if Addison comes back, what happens to Naylor?
Yep.
Naylor, what role does he run? It's the oxymoron known as a good problem. 9 to noon heads into the second half of the presentation. Each and every Thursday, we do something called 6-pack of picks. My 3 are around the corner, followed by News du Nord, Pressure Points, Nordo's 3 with the 6-pack, and an hour and 10 minutes from now, Bo Hunting Burnsy joins 9 to noon. It's a Border Battle Thursday at FM 100.3 KFAN. six-pack of picks. Those of you who enjoy watching football with six-packs and you like to spot up a little bit, you're looking for some suggestions. This is FISA, Fairness and Suggesting Act. Yours truly. If I were doing this for like real money, there's zero chance I'd be offering opinions on a Thursday for games on a Sunday. A lot changes over the weekend. But for the sake of the six-pack of picks bit, I have three for you now. Nordo has three for you about 30, 35 minutes from now. My first one involves these guys.
Snap is back. Four-man rush, looking in the end zone, deep on the backside of the end zone, and it's Turpin. Touchdown.
All right, now you kick your extra point, you close it to 7.
16 yards to Turpin.
Cowboys radio, PA.
And Nordo here than me in 40 minutes. We have the option of piggybacking or passing. And I'm going to take Dallas -6 tonight. I'm going to suggest Dallas -6. And yeah, I've been watching the Cowboys, called the Alice Cowboys of these days, because there's no D in Dallas.
I always love that one.
All of a sudden, there's no D in Dallas. They are the Alice Cowboys. However, there are just things here you just can't get around. And you can add to it by saying the Giants just won their first game of the season. They had a big locker room celebration. Are they the type that's going to win 2 in a row? There's a lot of speculating and guessing with that. I'm going to go to the facts that lead to the context. The Cowboys haven't lost to the New York Giants since 2021. Oh, my God. And yes, the Alice Cowboys have a bad run defense. Ain't no doubt about it. But Singletary is not the Ravens, and Singletary is not Alvin Kamara, okay? The Cowboys have beaten the Giants 6 in a row, and by an average of 21 points a game. Oh, my gosh. McCarthy knows how to murder this defense to offset his defense, which is shoddy at best. Tension is high down Big D way. Lose this one, and the new coach watch officially is underway. Oh, my God. These Cowboys are supreme front runners.
Yeah.
Always have been. Well, I mean, at least with Dak and CD and Micah, they're all good players, all fantastic players. Got a little front running to them. That was kind of low key and under the radar. An angle with the Houston Texans. It's like, there are a fair amount of players on this Vikings team and the coaching staff too who are here in 2022 and then dealing with the 4 quarterbacks last year and the injuries and everything. That's stress. That's tension. Yeah. That's facing grindy and grimy moments. That the Texans really haven't gone through stuff like that. They've won close games, but they got a little front runner to them too. So do the 49ers, but they're front runners because if they get up on you and they run on you, you're dead. So the Dallas Cowboys, they got some front running to them. And the supreme front runners, I'm not sure if they can take a punch. If they get jumped early, shame on them. If they get jumped early by this squad, shame on them because they're too talented to lose 3 in a row. But self-loathing ego from coaches and players can ruin even the most talented groups. Tonight is very, very interesting, but I'm going to lay on the fact that the Cowboys crush the Giants, whether Jones is playing or not. And you got to give 6 on the road. I'm not a fan of that, but nevertheless, I'll take the Dallas Cowboys. Then we get to the weekend, and I like these guys on the money line.
Under center, Cook the lone setback. Here's the snap. Takes the handoff to Cook. Pressure coming. Fires down the right side, looking for Coleman. He's got it, and he's into the end zone. The rookie with his first touchdown as a pro.
The Buffalo Bills. They're slight underdogs at Baltimore. It's kind of like Vikings and Packers. Baltimore favored by like 1.5 or something like that. So the Bills on the money line are plus 110. They're going great guns. I mean, that's just not off the Jacksonville game. They're going great guns, and the happiness just permeates the sideline. Even in stressful moments, you can see it. There are times in games if Lamar has to pass, seriously, hide the women and children. And I'm not backing off that. I've said it for years. And, people will look at MVP awards and certain, no. Lamar passing in stressful situations goes the wrong way 7.8% of the time, 7.8 out of every 10 times. And I just saw it last game when I got home from the Vikings-Texans. Well, Dallas and Baltimore were on TV. Baltimore's killing Dallas. Then they can't stop Dak. They can't stop anything. I mean, it was unbelievable, the onslaught the Baltimore Ravens defense faced and couldn't stop. The defense lost some type of swerve, mojo, or whatever late in that game against Dallas. But this ain't the Alice Cowboys in that there's no D in Dallas. And this is a well-oiled machine with a sound defense and a complete offense. And the quarterback is playing so confidently right now. May need a stiff drink to get you to the wire, but you'll get there. I like Buffalo. Last time we six-packed the Buffalo Bills, it was at Miami, and we crushed. I'm not going to say we're going to crush here, but I do like Buffalo on the money line in that matchup. And I also like another road team, and you're getting 3.5 points, and it's these guys.
Gino out of the shotgun, McIntosh in the game, and now he swings out to the left side. Gino steps up in the pocket, looks, holds, throws deep, got DK open, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, runs away from Miami. Touchdown, Seahawks! A 71-yarder to DK.
Steve Rabel, Seahawks Broadcasting.
Kitties were really, really good last year, and they were good the year before. That was the year they went to Lambeau, won that game at the end of the season, kind of built the foundation heading into the 2023. Can be argued that they should have gone to the Super Bowl, and the coach made some extremely bad mistakes at the end of the game, and it cost them a legitimate chance. Well, now they're one of the favorites to get to the Super Bowl. They're 2-1. They were very professional in their win against Arizona. Now, I'm not sure if Kenneth Walker's playing or not, but he didn't have a great game against Seattle last year. But that's the A topic. I believe Seattle can slow the run, and Arizona could not run on the Detroit Lions, and the Lions ran all over the Birds. That was the difference in that game. And Seattle is so much more structurally sound defensively than Arizona. I think that's going to tilt it a little bit. Geno Smith last year against the Lions, 320, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. He ran for 6 yards a clip. And the Seattle Seahawks, they've beaten Detroit 6 consecutive times. They haven't lost to the Detroit Lions since 2010. Now, Jared Goff has always had problems against the Chickens. He's 5-6 lifetime, Rams and or Kitties. He hasn't beaten them since he's been with the Detroit Lions. It's 3 games, but he only played in 2. And like I said, Detroit 2 years ago was good. They got beat 48-45 at Detroit to Seattle, and they blew a big lead. Game flipped at halftime, right into the third quarter. And last year, when the Lions were a team that could go to the Super Bowl, they got beat again at home by the Seattle Seahawks. Jared Goff, 5-6 lifetime against the Chickens. He's lost 5 of his last 7. I like Seattle a lot, plus 3.5 against the Motor City Kitties.
Ooh.
News du Nord is next.
News du Nord, 9 to noon. It's brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. And frankly, get to the website or take notes. That's up to you, but there's a lot going on. So a couple of racing days left. You got races today. You got races at Saturday. So first post, probably 5-ish p.m. Be there. And we'll actually show up early. Show up at 3:30 or 4 and participate in the NFL Pick'em Challenge.
Hey.
Get that MVP card. It's free. It's gratis. And maybe feel the felt while you're there, but certainly pick NFL games and you have a chance of winning $500. They do this all week. It opened 50 minutes ago. You're out. You're actually already late. But get down to Canterbury and get to CanterburyPark.com for all event details and have yourself a blast.
Yes, we race today at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, my bad.
No, it's okay. It's 5. It was 5 yesterday. At 4 today, 4 Saturday is closing day. 4 o'clock today, you got the pro football pick'em, like Nordo just mentioned. The MVP card, you can get that at no charge. And the contest has been a lot of fun for a lot of people. I can't play in it because I work there. But like Nordo plays every single week, and it's a free shot to massage your elite football mind and do so at no charge and win some cash. So if you're in the Shakopee area, or maybe you make a trip outside of where you are in your covenant, head down to Canterbury Park, play that pro football pick'em. And like Nordo said, it cracked open at 10 today. I think it goes until 10 o'clock tonight. 4 o'clock for the first race today. Myself and some dear friends of mine own a horse racing in the third race today. Her name is Mia Baby. She's 6-1 on the morning line. She's a horse that we claimed for our Canterbury Chapel ministry, where 10% of what she earns goes back to the ministry. She's yet to win, yet $1,000 has gone to the grooms and the exercise riders and the backsiders.
That's sweet.
At Canterbury, the people to whom we minister. So she's gonna run tonight. She has a big shot to win. That's the third race at about 5 o'clock. And I think I said this on Twitter yesterday, but anybody at Canterbury tonight, race 3, if Mia Baby wins, everybody into the winner's circle for a big fat ass picture. Race number 3 tonight, 5 o'clock.
And we'll start with the Minnesota Twins, PA. They won a game yesterday. Kind of a theme through 2 against the Marlins is they get you early. They got you for 4 the other night, and they get you for 3 in the first inning, and that sent Simeon Woods-Richardson packing. But the Twins offense came alive. They tie it up in the 4th, and then they put 5 on them in the 7th inning to coast their way to victory. Technically, Griffin Jacks, I believe, credited with said victory. But in the end, the Twins, they are keeping pace with both the Tigers and Royals. They're still 2 games back. The Royals can't lose. Tigers can't lose, apparently.
Yep.
The Tigers, one more today, and then they host the White Sox into the weekend. The Royals are at the Braves, so still 2 games back. Just need to get even with one of those squads to get into the playoffs. But things are getting tenuous, with just 4 games remaining in the regular season.
And don't forget Softies M's. They crushed the Houston Astros yesterday. It was like 7 or 8-1. And they're in our spot. They're like 2.5 games back. Man. So Johnny Mathis and I think it was Denise Williams back in the day sang a song that went, "Too much, too little, too late to lie again with you." That's what it is. It's too much, too little, too late, and they're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah, the Mariners, just a half game back. They have one more loss, basically. That's they've played one more game, and it was an L for the M's.
Yep.
But pay attention to that. Pay attention to your Minnesota Lynx.
Yep.
Great conversation with Cheryl Reeve earlier in the show. But the Lynx defeat the Phoenix Mercury, complete the 2-game opening playoff round sweep, 101-88. And around halftime, it felt like this thing's a little maybe closer for comfort. But they absolutely ran away in the third quarter, PA. And it was the story of the game, story of the season really is Nafisa Collier, of course. But 42 points that she dropped on those Mercury. Diana Taurasi might be her last game in the WNBA. But now moving on, our said Lynx, Sunday game 1 of a best of 5 in the WNBA semifinals against the Connecticut Sun.
Happen to catch any of it last night?
I just watched highlights.
When I got home from the track and I watched the first part of the track, then I settled into the sinkhole for the third quarter. I get what ESPN's trying to do here. By the way, Michael Grady was on the call, and that was pretty cool. I couldn't find the links on the radio. It was the Wild and Dallas on the radio.
Yeah.
So then I went to different routes, and I found the TV call on the radio. I'm like, damn, that's Grady. But it was approaching halftime, and ESPN, out of a break, interviewed Phoenix's head coach. I don't know the guy's name. And then out of halftime into the third quarter, they did the same thing with Cheryl Reeve, and it's during the game. Okay. Now, I get what they're doing.
How did Pobo handle it?
Well, it's nobody can handle it well.
Right.
Okay. This and maybe the WNBA, of course they signed off on it. Actually, during the game, it's not a tape bit like the NBA. Hey, here's Chris Finch. Let's talk to him about the defense. Stifle Towers triple-double through 3. And what do you think of Game 6?
Well, they even do it in the NFL where it's a recorded TV conversation during a break.
There you go.
With KOC, and they play that maybe into the second quarter or something like that.
Now, in MLB and WNBA, they do it live.
Yeah.
Okay, basketball's not baseball, friends. Okay, you don't have a lot of time between the action. These were awful. They were awful. And that's the only way to put it. I mean, it's because Reeve, they catch her when a lady's at the foul line. Well, then they make her miss, and then there goes the action. Basketball coaches don't sit back like Major League Baseball managers and spit seeds. Okay? It's 51. No. Corner.
Right.
Okay? They were just awful. So they were discombobulated. They were uncomfortable for both coaches. The only thing I heard Cheryl say was, our defense has to be better. We've given up 100 points the last two halves. And then, like the Philly girl in her came out there. But they asked a question, and then the analyst foolishly asked a second question. Ooh. Come on, man. Seriously, you got a game going on. It's a playoff game. They can't pay attention to what you're saying. And doing it during the course of the battle to be like, well, we can get this live and nobody else does this. Hey, there's a reason nobody else does it, because it sucks.
Yeah. Because
the coaches can't pay attention to your questions. Like Cheryl's like, what'd you ask about the second quarter? Yeah, it was ridiculous. So it's a cool try, but this ain't Major League Baseball. Okay. We're not with Josh Beckett eating bacon and sausage and playing cards during a game. Okay. There's actually action going on that they care about. So that, I don't know what got me on that diatribe, but I hope they don't do any more of those.
No, I absolutely dig it. I wish I would have seen that. And I don't like those in the course. If there has to be an answer to that. And I think it's just simply stop doing it during play.
Yeah, you got to watch it to understand. And those who saw it, 64686 if you want, big deal. But it's with the Phoenix coach. The Phoenix coach's one was worse. Okay, because he couldn't hear the first question because the crowd was loud. They had to re-ask the question, and then he gives a short answer, and it wasn't the right answer because he misheard the question, and he wanted to be anywhere else in the world except where he was at that moment.
Yeah,
being interviewed during the course of a playoff game where his team's getting whooped, and it's like, here's the question. Well, hey, boxing one, free throw line extended. Come on, set the pick. Okay, what'd you say? It was like that. It was
we really need to get things organized into the second half. No!
Yeah.
No!
Right. It was uncomfortable.
My last bid for you to the NFL, it's kind of a throwaway bid, but I saw that the Browns are struggling, PA, and I saw Deshaun Watson.
You stop that, honey.
Being asked, well, I love Stefanski.
So do I.
But I just, I don't know Kevin. I don't communicate with Kevin at this stage. He's in Cleveland, but I'm always going to root for him.
Yeah.
But this Deshaun Watson thing sucks.
It sucks.
He was interviewed, asking whether he wants more designed runs. He says he's not a running back. I'm not going in there to ask him for designed runs. If I don't have to run, I'm not going to run. I'm not trying to take any hits. I'm not a running quarterback in a sense. I can make things happen, but I'm not trying to run. And then he notes, what did he have here? During his time with Houston, his 1,600 rushing yards were ranked 6th among all quarterbacks. So at some point in his career, he kind of ran. He's posted the second lowest QBR in the NFL among qualified passers, behind only Bryce Young. Like, the whole thing's negative. They're 1-2. And you were mentioning, like, how'd the Giants beat the Browns? Well, Deshaun Watson's lack of productivity, Nick Chubb's on the shelf, so they're trying to figure out how to run the ball, which is why he was asked about the running, but he doesn't want to run. And I'm just thinking, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, I got this badass defense, I got this quarterback that have just been tied to me like a freaking $200 million anchor.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to win games, and I'm in a potentially competitive division with Joey Burrow and company. They're going to go down to Charlotte this weekend and likely win, but all the same, things aren't happy in Cincinnati. And I'm sitting there and I have to work with Deshaun Watson. I'm feeling for Kevin Stefanski when I read stuff like that, with how bad it is at that spot in that city on the shores of Lake Erie for a guy that I like.
Yeah, and the good news is they were the only team in the NFL, and I joked about this when we were there for the preseason. Only team in the NFL that didn't have a stadium name was clear. So, like, even the executive of marketing is taking L's. But they got one. Like, right after it's like, I think it's Huntington Bank. But they got one. I mean, might have gotten it on the cheap, but they got one. So at least they got everything copacetic there.
I had to give 4 suites to get the deal done.
I'm out of touch with what's going on with Cleveland right now. Abbott pointed it to me right after the Vikings game because he's, he and Kevin know each other quite well.
Yeah.
And he's like, the call. I looked at the score. I'm like, damn, he lost at home to the Giants. Come on, Kevin. Let's go with these brownies.
Yeah, let's
Come
go
with these brownies.
Well, unless the defense is going to start scoring per game,
the quarterback. It's just hard to talk about him. It's just hard to figure out somebody that gifted.
Yeah.
He's super gifted, man. And Deshaun Watson's very, very smart. And I know that for a fact from some things that I saw when he was at Houston and things Stefanski has told me about his days with the Browns. But again, when you go through what you put yourself in, it's you can have dollars but not have cents. You can have as much money as King Solomon from the Old Testament, and that still doesn't mean you're going to have happiness.
Right.
Because there has to be some form of PTSD that forever will be with that man because that situation he put himself in. He just ain't the same guy.
No, he's
just not the. Yeah, thank you. He's broken,
and he's not a sympathetic character in this at all. But
right,
the sympathetic character is an NFL is an NFL coach.
Yeah, I ain't trying to
try and make that work.
I ain't trying to figure out ways for him to have a good time on his off Tuesday. We're talking about strictly between the lines and between the goal lines.
That is correct.
He ain't the same. He doesn't see it the same.
I don't think he ever will be.
He plays scared, and he didn't used to play scared. And I don't think, not knowing the guy, I don't think it's unfair to say if it came out, if God showed us right now, well, there's PTSD deeply involved because of this position in which he put himself in, positions, it would surprise 9 to noon. None.
That's News to Nord brought to you by The Casino.
You knew I was going to say
I knew
none.
you were going to say that.
That's unbelievable what I just saw on the other side of the window. It was a beautiful thing. It's very Hall & Oates-like.
Thank you, Canterbury Park.
Pressure points around the corner, followed by Nordo's picks for the 6-pack, then Bo Hunter 35 minutes from now. And with the pressure points, I'm going to lead off talking about handling prosperity.
Oh.
And we will do that around the corner at FM 100.3 KFAN.